time to upgrade our wireless network with the Ubiquiti AP AC Lite. So I decided I would try and test out a different wireless access point solution in the home, and if it works well, get one for the cave as well. So the reason for this purchase is, if you've seen some of the other videos and also if you're a subscriber, one of the things that I'm trying to do is improve the connectivity I have to wireless devices on, I guess, on the perimeter of my house, like things like the Ring doorbell, the Ring spotlight cam. Some of those seem to be struggling with their Wi-Fi connection, and I think that increases the demand on the battery. Obviously it's having to spend more power to the antenna to get that connection. And after using the Ubiquiti point-to-point wireless, I thought I'd give one of these, one of the access point ACs a go. There's a few in the range, won't go into all the details, but I decided to go with the AP AC Lite. It is the cheapest one, but it seems to have everything that you need really from a home solution. I don't do a large amount of network transfers of large files. If I do, that tends to happen overnight, so I'm not really super fussed on the speed, but that's really one of the main differences between things like the Lite, the long range, the Pro, etc. This one isn't an AC enabled device. It uses power over Ethernet. It comes with the little 24 volt module in this. And one of the things we'll look at is, when you utilize these devices, you need a Ubiquiti controller. Basically, this is just some software that runs on a machine. So it could be Mac, Linux or Windows. You don't need it to be installed all the time, but you do need it to set up the network and do management. You can try it on a Raspberry Pi as well, but I've heard mixed results about how well that works. So let's open the box and then we'll have a go at configuring it, and finish up the video after a few days of testing it out and see if it's really any good. So this one, like most of them, supports MIMO or MIMO. So there's dual antennas in here, so you've basically got kind of additional capacity for wireless connectivity. I think the Pro has 3 instead of 2, so slightly better, has slightly higher throughput as well. All of them are 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz dual band, so it's going to be compatible you know, with some of the older products as well that are running 2.4. This specific one, the Lite, is only rated for indoor use. If you need something that works outdoors as well, you need to go for the things like the Pro. So let's unbox this. So there's a little kind of other product memorabilia. So this is specifically around some of the network switches, etc. Here it is, the device itself. It is super tiny. It's got this mounting bracket on the back, and then a single Ethernet port there. I think the Pro has dual Ethernet ports, so you can do like pass through, and you can obviously mount this to a ceiling or to a wall, depends obviously what type of installation you're trying to do. Comes with a metal mounting bracket as well. I think that's for if you're using a drop ceiling. Then we have power, and then the power over Ethernet module. There's no Ethernet cable in here, so you have to supply that yourself. And this is like the quick start guide, and some mounting screws and raw plugs, and some strange bit of sticker in the end there. So that's pretty much it. So let's switch over to the machine and get this plugged in and set up the Unify controller and see how that works. I've not done this before, so we'll be learning as we go. The one point to note, if you decide you want to get more than one of these, they do them in packs of 3 and 5, but note that you tend to not get this power over Ethernet adapter with those, which means you need a switch that supports power over Ethernet at 24 volts for this one, so keep that in mind. Right, let's plug this in and then start to get things configured. Okay, so first thing we need to do is select our country and our time zone, so pretty standard stuff. London here. There we have the access point in question, press next. So now we're obviously setting up a wireless network, so I'm going to set an SSID for an existing access point that I've already got devices that connect to, so this enable things to happen smoothly. So we just put this in here. Obviously if you're creating a new one from scratch, it doesn't matter either way, you just need to make sure you put in your security key, and by default it's going to be using WPA2 for the encryption configuration. I'm not going to set up a guest network right now, you can do this later, but obviously it's prompting you. If you want to, you can do that at the same time too. So we'll just click next and get the basic configuration set up. Okay, now we need to do a couple of things to enable access to the access point controller. So obviously you need to create usernames for the admin and then a username for the device itself. So just set that up, and once it's done, click next and it'll start to do some provisioning. I don't have a cloud login account, not really interested in one right now, so we just skip over that and see if we can get logged into the device. So now we're going to use the username and password that we just set up. If, like me, you can't remember it, you get it wrong, and then if first you don't succeed, try it again. Here we go. So here you can see this is quite standard for Ubiquiti, the Unify interface. So right now we haven't got anything configured. You can see there's one wireless network access point available, so we can click that and gain access. If you've got other things like the Unify Security Gateway, you can add that as well for deep packet inspection, etc. One of the things that would be nice is if I could add my other Ubiquiti devices to this, like my unified point-to-point network. As you can see here, one of the things you can do is add an overlay for your house and use a Google Maps API to do some configuration for that. That's something I might mess around with in the future. There's quite a few things you can set up here, as well as looking at immediate devices in your RF range, so that hopefully you can pick the right channels either manually or automatically. So let's get this up and running. So this is where you can make changes to the wireless network configuration that we set up earlier. I just need to make a slight change there and then get this rebooted so we can get some devices connected to it and see what's happening. There's various settings that we can control here. We can set up different LANs, routing and firewall stuff we need that gateway for, but we can set up the guest networks, set up a separate, obviously, VLAN for that as well. Various profiles we can configure if you want to use radius authentication, etc. The majority of this stuff we're obviously going to look at right now, but just showing you there's quite a lot of advanced features that you get to use with the Ubiquiti stuff. It's kind of enterprise grade, but for the home, and it works really, really well. So before we get going, just make sure we're using the latest firmware. So just automatically check for a firmware update and see what we can see. I keep on getting this rogue networks access point alert because I have the Apple access point is also enabled. I have a couple between the house and the cave, so it's obviously just detecting that. So I'm assuming that if you have other Ubiquiti devices they play a little bit nicer together. Right, so there we can see we've got the option to upgrade. So let's upgrade the firmware, and then we can get our devices configured and check things out. Okay, upgrade almost completed. Not really too much to see here. Looks like there's various options in the interface to see different statistics about how many devices are connected and a throughput, etc. Right, so now we've got a few devices connected, so we can start to see a little bit about transmission rate. You can see obviously whether it's AC or N or G or whatever. We've got different transmission rates, obviously based on the distance as well, the signal strength. It's quite interesting to see that 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz utilization bar there as well. So also, it's going to help you see if anything's doing strange things. As mentioned before, the deep packet inspection, unless we've got the Ubiquiti security gateway, there's not really too much we can do with that. But looking into the overview, we can see various statistics about the devices in question. So that's pretty much it. It does pretty much what it says on the tin. So I'll do a few more tests and then we can wrap this up. Okay, so as you can see, that setup was super easy. The interface is pretty much intuitive. One thing I obviously didn't show you because it isn't plugged in anymore, but this little ring here lights up white when it's being set up, and then it's blue when it's all on and powered. You can obviously configure that light to be off if you want. This has a gigabit Ethernet port, I forgot to mention that, and you've got around 300 megabits per second on a 2.4 gigahertz network, about 877 megabits per second I think it is on the 5 gigahertz. As I mentioned, it supports AC. It's too early to say right now as to how much difference this is making in terms of throughput to the perimeter over the Airport Extreme I've been using, but initial thoughts are that it is working pretty well. What I do is we'll take a couple of days and then I'll just finish up this video with my thoughts on how things. Okay, so it's been about 4 days now that I've had that Ubiquiti AP Lite installed, and things seem to be working really well. So specifically the Ring spotlight camera that I have, which is on the outside of the house, so it's kind of 2 brick walls away from where the access point is, and it's in exactly the same location as the previous Apple Airport Extreme, and it's a notable difference. So I've gone from poor wireless reception quality to that device now to good, which has had a marked improvement on how fast the app opens up. Time will tell if it helps with battery utilization, but in general all of the devices seem to be working quite seamlessly and connecting into that access point. So that's working really well. Things don't necessarily seem any faster or slower, but I never had a noticeable issue in terms of performance with my devices anyway. So we'll see if it helps a bit with streaming. We haven't really watched too many things on Netflix lately in 4K, so that I guess be another test to see how well that works. But again, it worked well before. What is interesting to see is who the top talkers are on the network, so you can see more granular detail, who's checking in more often, last time someone checked in, how much data throughput. That's a lot easier to block and manage things. I haven't used the guest network feature yet. I did used to utilize that on my Apple Airport when people used to come and visit and stay for a week or so. So next time that happens, I will probably try that out. But I'm really impressed with just how simple everything is to configure. It's really kind of pretty intuitive. So I definitely think I'm going to pick up another one of those, get it installed over this side in the cave. I think the only thing but I have noticed is it keeps on detecting these rogue access points, and I think that's because obviously it's seeing my other Apple devices, like over here in the cave, obviously has the same SSID, so perhaps somehow I can let it know it's a friendly thing, or perhaps Ubiquiti just doesn't like non-Ubiquiti products on the network. So we shall see, but so far definitely recommending this device. If anything changes, I'll do a follow-up video, but definitely plan on picking up another one of those. And I think the Lite version is absolutely perfect for at-home use. The majority of the features that are there in the Pro and the long range are there in the Lite version. So unless you've got lots and lots of clients connecting, anything more than a Lite is overkill. So you can kind of get 2 Lites for the price of a Pro. So I hope this review was helpful. If you've got Ubiquiti products and you like them, leave some comments below. Perhaps you've got the Lite as well. Perhaps you've had slightly different experiences to me. I'll be interested in hearing. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.